From the carrier decks of the Pacific to the frozen airfields of Manchuria, Imperial Japan waged its war in the air with a vast and diverse fleet of aircraft. Built around speed, range, and offensive power, these machines reflected a strategic doctrine that favored decisive strikes over long wars of attrition. Between 1937 and 1945, the Imperial Japanese Army and Navy deployed fighters, bombers, reconnaissance platforms, transports, and by the final months, desperation weapons that blurred the line between aircraft and missile. This film is a complete archival survey, a comprehensive account of every major Japanese aircraft type used during the Second World War. We begin with the fighters, the sharp edge of Japanese air power, designed to seize air superiority across vast oceans and hostile skies. Mitsubishi A-5M Claude. The A-5M was Japan's first modern monoplane fighter, entering service before the war and proving its worth in China. Light, maneuverable, and lightly armed, it embodied the pre-war philosophy that agility outweighed protection. Against early opponents, it dominated, yet its lack of armor foreshadowed vulnerabilities soon to come. Mitsubishi A-6M Zero. The Zero defined Japan's early war air supremacy. Exceptional range, unmatched maneuverability, and twin 20mm cannon allowed it to dominate the skies from Pearl Harbor to the Indian Ocean. But its absence of armor and self-sealing fuel tanks turned early brilliance into late-war catastrophe as Allied tactics and firepower evolved. Nakajima Ki-27-8. The Ki-27 served as the Army's primary fighter at the outbreak of war. Agile and lightly armed, it excelled in dogfights over China and Mongolia. Yet by 1942, it was hopelessly outmatched, relegated to second line and training duties. Nakajima Ki-43 Hayabusa. Designed as the Army's answer to the Zero, the Ki-43 emphasized maneuverability above all else. It proved lethal against inexperienced opponents in Burma and Malaya, but like its naval counterpart, paid for agility with fragility. Kawasaki Ki-45 Toryu. The Ki-45 was Japan's twin-engine heavy fighter, adapted for interception and night fighting. Armed with cannon capable of destroying bombers, it became a key defender of the home islands as American air raids intensified. Kawanishi N-1 KJ Shirden. The Shirden represented a late-war leap forward, powerful armament, heavy armor, and performance tailored to counter Allied fighters. In skilled hands, it could challenge Hellcats and Corsairs, but arrived too late and in too few numbers. Nakajima Ki-44 Shoki. Built for speed and climb rather than agility, the Ki-44 was a dedicated interceptor. It excelled in defending Japan against high-altitude bombers, marking a shift toward defensive air doctrine. Kawasaki Ki-61 Hien. Powered by a liquid-cooled inline engine, the Ki-61 surprised Allied pilots who mistook it for a German design. Heavily armed and rugged, it served extensively in New Guinea and the Philippines. Nakajima Ki-84 Hate. Arguably Japan's best all-around fighter, the Ki-84 combined speed, firepower, and maneuverability. Mechanical unreliability and fuel shortages prevented it from changing the war's course. Mitsubishi J-2M Raiden. Designed solely to destroy bombers, the Raiden climbed rapidly and struck hard. It became a key counter to B-29 raids, though production difficulties limited its impact. Mitsubishi Ki-46 Kai. Originally a reconnaissance aircraft, the Ki-46 was adapted into a high-speed interceptor. It symbolized Japan's improvisation under pressure. Air superiority alone could not win the war. Japan's bombers carried the fight across oceans, jungles, and continents. Light and medium bombers. Mitsubishi G-3M Nell. The G-3M demonstrated the doctrine of long-range naval bombing, striking ships without fighter escort. Early success gave way to devastating losses once Allied defenses improved. Mitsubishi G-4M Betty. Fast and long-ranged, but catastrophically vulnerable, the G-4M became infamous for exploding when hit. It nonetheless served throughout the war, sinking ships and carrying senior commanders. Nakajima B-5N Kate. The Kate delivered the torpedoes at Pearl Harbor and across the Pacific. By Midway, it faced increasingly lethal opposition. Aichi D-3A Val. Accurate and deadly, The Val sank more Allied ships than any other Axis aircraft. Its slow speed eventually rendered it obsolete. Yokosuka D4Y Judy. Fast and sleek, the Judy evolved into reconnaissance and kamikaze roles as losses mounted. Kawasaki Ki-48 Lily. Designed for speed over protection, the Ki-48 served across Asia before becoming a liability in contested airspace. Mitsubishi Ki-30N. An early war ground support aircraft, effective against poorly defended targets. Mitsubishi Ki-21 Sally. The backbone of Army bomber units during early campaigns, later overwhelmed by Allied fighters. Heavy and strategic bombers. Nakajima Ki-49 Helen. Heavily armored but underpowered, the Ki-49 struggled to fulfill its intended role. Mitsubishi Ki-67 Hiryu. Fast, versatile, and effective, the Ki-67 was one of Japan's most capable bombers. Nakajima Ki-91. Designed for intercontinental bombing, it never flew before Japan's defeat. Nakajima G5 and Shinzen. An ambitious failure, plagued by mechanical issues. Nakajima G8 and Renzen. Technically impressive, operationally irrelevant due to late introduction. Reconnaissance and maritime patrol. Mitsubishi Ki-46 Dyna. Fast enough to evade interception for much of the war, the Dyna was invaluable. Nakajima C-6 and Cyan. The fastest carrier-based aircraft Japan fielded, rarely caught by enemy fighters. Kawanishi H-6K Mavis. Long-range patrol aircraft vital to maritime surveillance. Kawanishi H-8K Emily. Perhaps the finest flying boat of the war, heavily armed and long-ranged. Transports and utility. Mitsubishi Ki-57 Topsy. Moved troops and supplies across vast distances. Tachikawa Ki-54 Hickory. A versatile support aircraft used throughout the conflict. Nakajima L-2D. Japan's licensed version of the DC-3, essential to logistics. Special attack aircraft. Yokosuka MXY-7 Oka. A piloted rocket bomb, devastating when it struck, but rarely reached its target. Nakajima Ki-115 Tsurugi. Crude, expendable, and symbolic of Japan's final desperation. Jet and rocket prototypes. Nakajima Kika. Japan's first jet aircraft, inspired by German designs. Mitsubishi J-8M Shusui. A rocket-powered interceptor intended to stop B-29s, too late to matter. Together, these aircraft tell a story of innovation, ambition, and ultimately, strategic miscalculation. Japan entered the war with some of the most advanced aircraft in the world, and ended it with machines built for sacrifice rather than survival. If I missed a specific variant or prototype in this comprehensive list, which one do you know? Tell me your knowledge in the comments below.